Hey, welcome to Craft Central Designs. My name is Dwynn. I have a beautiful floral door decor piece for you today in lovely shades of purple and orchid. Welcome back to my subscribers and to all visiting my channel today as well. If you are new here, I hope you will become a subscriber, providing you like what you see in my tutorials. Okay, let's get busy on this beautiful floral door decor piece. Let's look at the items we will need to create this piece. This is a tin floral container that I picked up at Hobby Lobby at 50% off. Currently, it's rather unattractive, but I intend to transform it into something very beautiful. My floral foam, I picked up 2 blocks of that floral foam at Dollar Tree. Here I have a selection of ribbons. This piece will have a very beautiful bow, and I will be choosing 2 or 3 of those ribbons to use on this floral piece. I have some moss and reindeer moss that I picked up at Dollar Tree. Okay, we are going to be creating a little sign that's going to go on the front of this floral piece. I picked up this ceramic plaque at Dollar Tree. I need a small piece of purple ribbon. This is from Hobby Lobby. And I need to hang that sign on the piece. These are rub-on transfers, and I'm going to be using one of the smaller ones for the sign, the little round sign. And as well, I have some of these letters that I purchased on Amazon. I also got the transfers on Amazon. Yes, I have a Cricut, but I love these letters. They're so easy to just grab the pack and pull the letters off and use them. And so I do keep those on hand. And I'm going to be using Snow White Waverly chalk paint to paint the container. And I'm going to be doing a stippling of a very thick pasty paint on that piece, that floral tin piece. You'll need pipe cleaners, scissors, wire cutters, and a bristly type brush to stipple that paint solution onto the container. And here I have all my florals all ready to go. I have a beautiful hydrangea in white. I get all of my florals at Hobby Lobby. I have fillers here, greenery, some beautiful roses, and all of my florals, again, only from Hobby Lobby. They have absolutely beautiful florals. Every other week, they're 40% off. Look at the beautiful rose there. It looks very real. I like to have a lot of florals on hand to select from when I'm creating my piece. I may not necessarily use all of this. Oh, look at the pretty purple roses, little baby roses there. But I like to have it on hand while I'm creating. And these are my favorite greenery bunches from Hobby Lobby. This also is one of my favorites because I like to have pieces that have long stems. And I absolutely love this fern. And so I will be using some of that on the piece as well. And here's that little plaque. I use a piece of painter's tape to put across the piece to make sure I get all of my letters straight. I always write out the word so I know how to space my letters out. I always start with the middle letter. Then I just work my way forward and back and place my letters accordingly. These letters from Amazon are awesome. Even if you place them a bit incorrectly, you can pull them back off and reapply them. See how my painter's tape helps me to keep the application of the letters nice and straight across the piece. I use these a lot at Christmas time on ornaments, but on other plaques and signs as well. And I'm going to take that burlap hanger off because we're not going to be using that on the piece. Now I'm going to finish putting on my letters. And I also went ahead and chose one of the smaller transfers, and I went ahead and applied it. It's super easy. Just peel it off, press down the transfer, and it just couldn't be easier. There goes one of my ribbons on the floor. I wasn't going to use that one anyway, so it's okay. But now I'm going to start comparing my ribbons to some of my colored florals, mostly my purples and orchids, because not all purples and orchids coordinate. So some of them clash, actually. So now I have to go through the process of choosing my ribbons. So I'm going to bring all of my florals out and make a decision on what I'm going to use for my bow. And I've made my decision. I'm using this floral ribbon with pinks and purples, a white burlap, and that striped orchid. And you might be thinking, what? You're going to use striped with florals? Absolutely. Oh my gosh, it's just beautiful to mix patterns. You'll see how pretty this is after I get it done. All right, so on my base of my bow is going to be this white burlap, and it's a very stiff burlap. I got it at Hobby Lobby. It's absolutely fabulous for creating a base of a bow because it helps to support any of the layers of ribbon that go on top of it. So any piece that has a lot of strength in the ribbon, it helps with the longevity of the piece. So I'm going to do a 6-loop bow, 3 loops on each side. This is going to be a triple ribbon bow. I have a tutorial on how to make a triple ribbon bow, as well as 2 other tutorials on making bows, and I will list those in the description box. This is a rather sped up tutorial on how to make a bow. I think if you want to learn how to, in a slower, more methodical manner, look at those videos. So there I have the base of my bow, 3 loops on each side. I put a pipe cleaner right down the center, and here's that striped orchid and white. And this is going to be beautiful. Now notice that this is a thinner ribbon. Now I'm doing something a little different that I haven't shown you before, but I've done many times. Yes, you can mix a 1.5 width ribbon with a 2.5. It actually looks really fabulous. So what I'm going to do to compensate for the more narrow ribbon is I'm going to use 4 loops on each side instead of 3. This ribbon is beautiful. I believe this ribbon is a Celebrate ribbon, so it's from Michaels. So I'm doing 4 loops on each side. As you can see, I just fold over my loops, catch it in the middle, secure it with my fingers. Now I have all of my loops created. I'm going to put a pipe cleaner right down the center, twist it in the back, cut off the tail, and here we have the second tier of our triple ribbon bow. Again, I know this is, I'm doing this rapidly, or actually it's just sped up. So if you want to learn how to make bow of this type, I refer to my tutorials. And this is going to be our top tier of our triple ribbon bow. And now we're back to that 2.5 ribbon. And I'm going to form my loops, twisting before I fold them over, catching them in the middle with my thumb and my index finger. And I believe, yes, I did 2 loops on each side. Now see how pretty that's going to look when we put it all together. Okay, 2 loops on each side. Now the loops on the top tier are just a little bit smaller than the loops on the second and third layers of that bow. As you become comfortable with making bows of this nature, you'll find you won't have to think about measuring out your loops in inches. You'll just become very proficient at eyeballing them and just creating your bows very naturally without having to think about the length of each loop. Now I just created a little loop right down the center of that top tier of that triple ribbon bow. I'm going to snip that ribbon off the spool, feed that tail right down the center of that center loop, and marry up the tails there. Now all 3 of these layers are going to go together and be secured with a pipe cleaner. Now I angle my tails. If you prefer to dovetail, that's fine, you do you. Now I'm going to snip off any excess pipe cleaners I have on the first 2 layers of that bow, because I need to press one layer to another, and I need a very flat surface on the back of those bows in order to really press down firmly and attach all 3 of those together. So what I'm going to do is separate the tails of the top layer and that middle layer, as you see there. Now what you can't see is that my thumb and my index finger are pressing very, very firmly to get those very tightly adhered to one another. Now I'm going to attach that to the base, keeping my tails separated, because I'm going to be applying a pipe cleaner right down the center of the loop, and I'm showing you there to attach all of those layers together very firmly. And I keep a nice tight hold, and I'm pulling very, very firmly with my pipe cleaner because I want a super, super tight hold. Twist it in the back several times. Now, what do you think of that striped ribbon with that floral ribbon? Oh my gosh, absolutely love it. Another thing I love about that 1.5 inch ribbon is that I'm going to coil the tails of that ribbon on the piece, and it's going to look so pretty. Now I have plenty of pipe cleaner back there, which you'll see later. I'm going to attach the pipe cleaners on the back of that bow to a wooden dowel. And you'll see what I mean by that in a bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and trim up my tails. I generally leave the tails of my base bow longer, and then as I trim the tails of the other layers, I make those just a bit shorter. That's just my style. You do you, however you want to do it. But look how pretty this bow is. Oh my gosh. Love, love. Absolutely love the orchid and white striped ribbon in that bow. So pretty. Okay, here's that container, and it needs to be made over as far as I'm concerned. Not loving it as it looks right now, but I have a vision for this piece, so here we go. I am going to take Snow White Waverly chalk paint and just a regular paintbrush, and I'm just going to give this piece all over, top, bottom, sides, and a little bit down inside of the piece. Just a good coat. It doesn't have to be perfect, because on top of this layer of paint, we're going to be stippling that thick mixture of chalk paint and baking soda. And there's our layer of paint already applied. Now I'm going to take my giant box of baking soda. My goodness, could it be bigger? And I'm going to mix my paint with the baking soda. Now, at first, it's going to seem like really funky, okay? It's really kind of thick and crusty, but the more you stir, you can see the consistency changes. What you want is a thick, thick, thick paste. Now, you can always, if you put too much baking soda, just add a little more paint. I don't have an exact recipe to give you. I just do it by eyeballing it, but I'm showing you here about the consistency. It's thick, kind of like whipped cream or a thick paste, something like that. Okay, so I'm using my bristle brush, and it's a pretty firm bristle brush, and I am just dabbing or stippling that paint mixture. I'm not swiping back and forth, I'm just dabbing. Now be sure to get all up in the grooves and creases of that piece, and it does have them, especially up there at the top where I'm at right now, around the lip of that container. You're just going to cover the whole piece, front, back, and the bottom, and even the little handle there. And while that's drying, we're going to set up our bow with the wooden dowel I spoke of before. Now, this is how we're going to place the bow in the piece. So I got these wooden dowels, I believe, at, I think the Dollar Tree. I think they're 12 inches long. So I just place a blob of Gorilla Hot glue there, and I place the dowel right on top of it, and while the glue is drying, I twist my pipe cleaner that was on the back of that bow around that dowel. And I think I put a little extra dab of glue. Yes, I did. This is how we're going to stick it right down into the floral foam, and it's going to be sitting on in that right inside of that container. Okay, now another thing that you could see that I put my floral foam in there, by the way, and the reindeer moss. That's very elementary. You just shove it down in there until it's really firm inside of there, and just place the moss on top of there. Now I stuck that dowel in there because this is how our little sign is going to hang on the front of this piece. Now I have my bow attached on through one of the holes, or my ribbon attached through one of the holes. And now I need to measure to see exactly how long I should make that ribbon before I cut it off and finish the back. I want to see how far it hangs down in the front. I ended up moving that little dowel over. Now that sign, I want it to be almost in the center, but a little bit off to the side. And that's how that little sign is going to hang. So I've decided on that's the length of my ribbon. I put a dab of glue there to hold it. And after that's dry, I'm just going to tie a little knot with that ribbon and cut off the excess. And then my little piece is ready to go on the floral piece, but not quite yet. You'll see. We'll put it on later. This is super cute. You could put other words on there too. hello or home or whatever you like. You could even put your address numbers on there. Okay, so let's get busy putting our florals in here. Now our hydrangea is front and center, and this is our primary focal point of this floral piece. I put my largest element or flower in first in any arrangement that I do. Then I start choosing my next largest and then the next largest and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and place my roses in there. Now the beautiful thing about floral design is that it's very forgiving. If you stick something in and you don't like it, you simply pull it out and no harm done and stick it in somewhere else where you like it. So I love floral design for that reason. It's just very forgiving. You can just make your mistakes and then correct them so easily. Now, at this point, I am going to go ahead and put my bow in because I'm going to be placing my florals around that bow. So I want to see exactly where all the loops of that bow are going to be on this floral piece. Now, I placed my dowel on the corner because I want half of my bow to reach around the side, but the other half to come around the front of the piece. So if I put it on the corner, stick the dowel down on the corner through the floral foam, that will allow me to have that bow placed so that you can see it from the front, but also around the side. Now I'm trying, this piece is very tall and long, so I'm trying to give you the best vantage point to see everything that I'm doing. So if it appears that you're not able to see it as much as you like, know that I do stop periodically, hold it up in different ways, turn it around, show you it from different angles. So right now I'm going to start working on putting in my fillers. Now, fillers to me can make or break a piece. In plain words, they are absolutely essential and so complementary to a floral piece. Now I'm going to start popping in I think they look like baby roses. I don't know the names of all flowers. I just know it's beautiful. And those little flowers from Hobby Lobby are just so, so pretty. Now I'm going to start filling in my spots that need color. Now you're going to notice that with some of the flowers that not all of them have a long stem. So don't worry about that because you can use hot glue and let your larger pieces support those smaller pieces that you couldn't quite fit the stem into the floral foam. Now I brought back those leaves from the hydrangea. I never throw away my leaves. I always keep them no matter what floral piece that I'm doing. They come in very handy, especially when you're doing a wreath. So now what I'm going to do is bring back those hydrangea leaves and I'm going to frame my hydrangea. And just as important as the fillers are, the greenery is as well. So we're getting to that shortly. And now watch how pretty this looks when I introduce those hydrangea leaves. See how I framed it? I'm showing you there. I framed the hydrangea. And again, quality florals produce a gorgeous piece. So I am sorry to say I am not a fan of Dollar Tree florals. I love Dollar Tree for a lot of things, but never florals. I really love quality florals. look at these little, I'm not sure what they're called, but these little pieces that I'm working with right now. Oh my gosh. Look what they add to the piece. Always think a lot about your fillers, how they could complement the larger flowers that you select for a piece. I was thinking this would be a gorgeous piece done with sunflowers. I just might have to do one of these. And sunflowers around autumn. That would be so pretty. I love sunflowers. You could just choose any color combination for this piece. And remember as well, your ribbon that you use on your bows, that also really can make a piece absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm adding some different fillers in there. And I'm using a lot of hot glue. You see me going off to the side there and getting hot glue for a lot of these pieces because they won't reach the floral foam. And again, like I said, let your larger pieces serve as a stable place to stick your smaller pieces, and that hot glue, they will just adhere right to the greenery or the petals or even the sides of the container. Now I'm going to start with my greenery, and I want to use something. You could use a Swedish ivy as well, but I really like this kind of trailing greenery here. And I'm going to stick that in the floral foam, and I want to have that greenery trailing down the side of that piece. This is going to create balance. You always want to think of balance and symmetry and distribution of color when you're doing a floral piece. We have that bow on the other side, so it would seem lopsided if we didn't create some kind of visual interest on the opposite side, something bringing symmetry to the floral piece. And here's my favorite greenery. I use this on virtually anything I do floral, including a floral wreath. So now I'm going to start popping in my different greenery pieces, and this just makes a floral piece just come alive. Again, these floral greenery pieces and the florals, they do cost a bit more, but it just depends on what you want your final piece to look like. And the higher end florals will produce a more higher end looking floral piece. These also will hold up better in the outside elements on your door. And I'm adding the fern in there, just kind of framing out my flowers and my fillers, trying to create symmetry and visual interest to my piece. Lots of distribution of color. I always push my greenery up to the end of the stem. That way you're not wasting greenery that gets buried down in your piece. It's more on the top of the stem, so you get the effect of having more greenery toward the top of your arrangement. Now I decided to put that little sign in before I completely bury that dowel in there. So I reached my fingers up in there, found the dowel, hung the little ceramic sign on there, And now I can create the rest of my florals on there, but making sure that I'm not covering up the sign. Now here's an example of using hot glue. I really wanted a little splash of color there right in the front. So I'm going to use my greenery that's draping down there in the front to hold that purple flower that I really would like to see on there in the front. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue on the back. I'm going to let my greenery do the work and hold that on there for me. Now always take a look at your piece from all angles to be sure that you have everything filled in and you have balance and symmetry and color. No areas that need a little something. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, so to finish off this piece, I picked up this roll of felt. Whenever you see felt at Dollar Tree, especially white, pick it up. You never know when you'll need it. And that's exactly what I did. And I was very happy to find this in my stash. So what I did was I cut out a piece of felt to cover the back of this container, because I was thinking that on a door, it's possible, because it's tin, that the sharp edges might scratch the door. So I covered the whole entire back with that white felt. In hindsight, I wish I would have just traced around the container before I had it full of florals, but I managed otherwise. But perhaps you might want to do that at the onset instead of waiting until the end like I did. Okay, and for the handle, I took some nylon cord and I just wrapped that handle so that the handle would be soft against the door as well. This is going on someone else's door, so I wouldn't want to be responsible for scraping up the door. And here is this beautiful, beautiful piece. Oh my gosh. Look at all the beautiful elements in this piece. Gorgeous. I did another one of these that I'm going to put a little clip of on the end so you can see it done in different colors. This is the second one of these that I've done. I liked it so much, I did another one. Both of them are gifts. And here we have the finished piece. So beautiful. If you like what you see on my channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button, and oh, I love when you leave your comments. And I'm going to show you that piece in another color coming up here. And here's the other one that I made. This one is in a lot of pinks and orchids and purple. This one's gorgeous as well. Okay, until next time, you all take care.